What is up, everybody? Hope you guys are having a really, really good start to your week so far. I'm pretty eager because my wife got me a bunch of new shirts, and I think that she did that because I'm the type of person who really doesn't buy shirts or clothing in any way for myself. And this is the funny part, okay? So she got me 3 shirts. The day she got home and gave me those 3 shirts, I completely ripped a pair of pants. So I'm down an entire pair of pants, which is absolutely wild. Hey guys, if this is your first time tuning into a web show live, let me tell you a little bit about what you can expect. You can expect me to be still paying attention to chat, but not quite as chatty as I am on a regular live stream. If you want to have like just tons of banter with me, would love to have you on a regular live stream on Tuesday, Thursdays, and Fridays here on Twitch. I would enjoy that. If you're watching live or if you're watching the video back, we'll show some of the things that we're talking about on the screen. But if you're an audio listener, I try to be as descriptive as I can about the things that we're talking about. And boy, oh boy, do we have some fun ones today. At least I feel like there's some fun ones. But before we fully get in, I want to just say hello to the early adopters, the people who are already here in the live chat right now. We got Crimsonite, we got Loki. Thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate you guys. Hope you're having a fantastic start to your week so far. Guys, this is the Web Show, the podcast about gaming news and a little slice of life. And boy, do we have some fun ones today. Just to give you an idea of what's on the docket before we get started, we have a recap of the Xbox Presents, which I just realized or Xbox Direct. I just realized I don't have that pulled up. So I guess I need to do that real quick so that I have all of that for us. I bet I can find like a GameSpot article or something on it real quick. And I could. Let's go. We're good. After that, we're also going to talk a little bit more about some things that Phil Spencer has been saying about the future of Xbox. We have a little bit more information on the Switch 2, specifically a potential price or an idea of a price point. So looking forward to that. And then I want to tell you guys a little bit about the Gamer Club, which is finishing up its first month of I guess, being in existence this week. So we're going to talk about all those things. It is going to be a really good time, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you about it. I want to hear what you think in the chat. We're going to have a really good time with it, but the first thing that we're going to be talking about is the Xbox Presents. The Xbox Presents just happened, and we got a little bit of a look into some of the games that we know that Xbox as a studio is creating. I want to pull up some images so that we can see the ones that were in question. Here we go. I think this should do it. Let's just open that in a new tab, and I think we will rock and roll. Maybe. Just kidding. Open in new tab. Can I just not do that? Okay, I'll tell you what. We'll do it this way. We just do it this way. It's all good. Boom. Okay. Xbox Developer Direct. It happened later last week. I think it was last Wednesday is when this happened. It specifically highlighted 4. Is that right? 5. It highlighted 5 games. The 5 games in question. Oh, this is the old Direct. I'm looking at the wrong one. LOL. The games in question that were really cool. This is the one that we want. Now we are talking. This is the one that we want, friends. The games in question were Doom, The Dark Ages, South of Midnight, Expedition 33, Ninja Gaiden 4, which was kind of a little bit of a surprise. And the real big surprise is we saw a announcement for Ninja Gaiden 2 Black, which is like a kind of like a remake from the bottom. Let me tell you about a little bit of each of them and the ones that I'm looking forward to and that I'm excited about. Starting with Ninja Gaiden. I have not played any of the Ninja Gaiden games ever, though I have heard that they're really, really great. The special thing about this is we've got not a hard date, but we have a window for Ninja Gaiden 4. It's going to be fall 2025. But what we do have a hard date for is the Ninja Gaiden 2 Black. That is actually available right now. They released it shadow dropped on Xbox Game Pass as well as I think also on Steam. And I guess you could just buy it on Xbox, so you don't have to get it through Game Pass. That was available on Wednesday, right at the end of the Direct, which was really cool. It is a rebuilt version of Ninja Gaiden 2, from the best of my understanding. Like I said, this is coming from someone who really hasn't played Ninja Gaiden, so Take everything I say with a little bit of a grain of salt. But I will say that while I was watching it, I actually streamed the entire thing, and you can find my reaction to it there on YouTube. I think YouTube's the only place I have it uploaded on. It was. I remember thinking that it was pretty good. I even commented a little bit that it looked pretty good, and there were people in my chat that were like, "Hey, this is definitely a remake." And I was like, "Really? Okay, maybe they're trying to get it up to snuff with what we just saw with Ninja Gaiden 4." And I really do think that's the case. Almost immediately after I had finished reacting to and streaming the direct, I got on X, and one of my buddies, Twiggy, was talking about how if you've never played any of the Ninja Gaiden games, this is a great opportunity to get into the series because it's a really great series, and this is a really digestible, good start to the franchise. So I'm thinking about trying it. Maybe I should have recommended it to the Gamer Club. We'll talk more about the Gamer Club in a little bit. But yeah, I want to know your thoughts. That's all I have to say about Ninja Gaiden for the main thing. It looks like it's going to be really, really well done. This is obviously, with as quick of a recap as I'm giving it, this isn't one of the games that I'm most looking forward to. But tell me what you think. I want to know in the chat. I want to know in the comments. Are you guys looking forward to Ninja Gaiden 2 or Ninja Gaiden 4 later in 2025? We had Expedition 33. To be honest with you, I don't remember a whole lot about this one. I thought about recapping it before the show started, and that I felt like would be disingenuous to being, almost a week removed from these games. Because one of the things that I kind of want to talk about with Xbox is how they are captivating interest. They're captivating or maybe that they're not, captivating the attention of the people who love their games and love the gaming space and are trying to get into this. And I don't know that Expedition 33 did that for me. It basically everything that I remember about it. It does look good. I just don't think it was a game for me, but it does look very good. The premise is that there is this archway and this number where some kind of large celestial or supernatural being comes in, and inside of the archway there's a number. And that number is based, I don't know if it's a countdown, like every single digit as it counts down, or if it's kind of at random, but each year each number keeps getting smaller. But what it means is whoever is the age of the number that this being reveals. So in this case, it's 30. The whole game revolves around Expedition 33. So the number is 33. Everyone who is 33 years old or older vanishes from existence, and the numbers keep getting lower every year. That's the whole premise. So you're on a team, you're like basically a part of an expedition team. There are sure tons of teams that have gone before you. There are tons of teams that are probably alongside you, and your goal is to try to investigate and learn more about this archway and everything that's happening, as well as hopefully put a stop to it and effectively save the human race. The plot is really interesting. That much of it that I remember. It's really interesting to me. The thing is, it's just not the type of game mechanic that I like. It looked like it was very strategic, very grindy. But what I mean by that is I remember that they pulled up these skill trees that I would say are like skill buffets. There are so many categories and subcategories and updates and like critiquing that you can do to your character. And if you like that kind of stuff, if you're into being able to make the absolute just perfect version of your character, then you're going to love this game. But if you're like me, I feel like that I'm just drowning in decisions. That's too many decisions to make. So that one didn't do it for me all that much. But it is releasing April 24th of 2025. So if you're interested, check it out. It will be available day one on Xbox Game Pass as well. On May 15th, which is kind of exciting, we're going to see Doom: The Dark Ages, which the way that I understand it is a prequel to Doom 2016. Was it 2016 or was it 2019? 2016, I think. I also haven't played any of the Doom games, but this one actually made me want to try it, and I started looking into the games whenever I was watching this live because it looks awesome. You're like a bad butt knight that has this like, it's a shield that reminds me a lot of the Lancer from Gears of War in that it has this chainsaw blade thing wrapped all the way around the outside of the shield that spins. You can throw it very Captain America style, and it will cut through your enemies. It'll bounce back, or I mean, it may not bounce. You may just be able to retract it very Kratos and the axe like that. I'm not really sure how that mechanic works, but they were big on talking about how all the different things you can do with the shield are on one button, and all the different things you can do with like up close melee combat, whether it's a flail or a mace or whatever you're holding, is also all on one button. And so it should be really ergonomic, really easy to get into the game. It's a lot of fast action. The developers described this game as a stand your ground game, whereas Doom 2016 was a run and gun. And then Doom Eternal they described it as a jump and shoot. They described this game as a stand your ground. You're very heavy, you deal a lot of damage, but you're still a little fast. And the whole idea is just to lock in and fight. And that's super exciting to me because I wouldn't, like if you were like characterizing me, you probably wouldn't think that is the way that I like to play games, but it is. I like to just run and go and get in, like just play like a tank. But I'm bad at building tanks. Like if I had to play a game where you have to strategically develop a character to be able to do that, I'm not going to do very well. But even when I'm playing like I played through almost all the Gears of War with my wife. And she's very rogue, stealthy, like hang back and snipe and take her time working through a world. And I'm like, and running in there, and I'm like, you get the blade, and you get the fist, and that's the way I play these games. Did I die more often than her? Yes. She always likes to bring that up and talk about, yeah, but you were always dying. And I said, yeah, but my score was like 4 times what yours was. If you look at like the kills and everything also. So my KD ratio is wild. That's how I like to play it, and this game seems like it is the whole premise is to play the game like that. So I'm pretty excited about that. And then the best for last for me, on April 8th, 2025, we have a game called South of Midnight, and I have my fingers crossed and I am praying that Xbox doesn't mess this one up, because I feel like Xbox has been on a trend lately of kind of messing up games. The best game that I think that they've made was Hi-Fi Rush, and then they closed the studio that made it. And then we had games like Redfall. Redfall was not received well with a good it didn't have a good reception. It didn't have a lot of love for the game. It's an okay game. I don't hate it, but it's also nothing spectacular for the hype that was around it. They closed that studio as well. And then the next big anticipated game we had from Xbox was definitely Starfield. And Starfield was kind of lackluster and got a little bit of grief because it promised this expansive, great open world space journey, and it did not deliver on that. You can get a closer to open world space journey in games like No Man's Sky, where you actually can get in your ship, leave the planet that you're on, get out of the atmosphere, and then see a planet in the distance, fly to that planet, and land on it. With Starfield, if you do that, actually there were creators that took the hours and hours it took to try that did do it, and they flew all the way to just a JPEG that was floating in the sky, and they clipped through it, and that's all there was to it. You can go to that island. You can go to that planet, but the only way to access these planets in Starfield was to do it through a menu. And that was really a bad taste in a lot of people's mouths, because that's really not what was initially promised. That's not what the expectation around that game was. So there's 2 games, and then Indiana Jones is currently, I think that it has a pretty good reception. I think that I've played it and I don't love it. I think it's okay. I think the fighting mechanic is really wonky, and so I thought I didn't think that game would be all that exciting to me anyway, so my feelings aren't hurt over it, but it's an okay game. South of Midnight, the game that's coming out on April 8th, that game does look very promising to me, and I am hoping so much that it doesn't see a similar fate to all the other games that Xbox has been releasing. Basically, you play as a girl who, I don't know everything to her story as to what has gone wrong, but a hurricane has come through and her mama is gone, and I don't know if she is just missing or if it's worse than that, but you discover this like ability that you have. I don't remember the name of what they call the ability, but it allows you to see things that other people can't see, and then that is the catalyst for what takes you on an adventure through all this Southern Gothic like folklore. And I grew up in Mississippi. This has a huge Cajun Louisiana feel. I didn't grow up in Louisiana, but I grew up close enough that I am just really excited about it. Like, I even last night rewatched The Princess and the Frog on Disney, and I was like, man, I I kind of really vibe with this whole New Orleans feel, and I feel like this is gonna have even more of a bayou, like really southern gothic, dark feel. It looks so good. The movement looks good. The fighting mechanic looks pretty good. The bosses look awesome. The story looks great. Please, 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 Xbox, do not mess this up for us. That would be ideal. That would be really great. So what is it? These are the only games that we know of, or that I know of, that are coming out anytime soon for Xbox. So what potentially does that mean for us in the world of Xbox? Well, I want to share with you something that Phil Spencer has been saying as he talked about the future of Xbox and how they're releasing their games on other platforms. We've already seen them do that with things like Steam. We saw this a little bit with, like Minecraft, of course, on the Switch. Of course, Minecraft was on everything anyway, but you know what I mean, like a real support for other platforms. And now we've seen it with the PlayStation 5, because Sea of Thieves is on PlayStation as well as Hi-Fi Rush. So yeah, let's just talk about that. This article I have pulled up, it is from Pure Xbox, and this is a little bit of what Phil had to say kind of around the situation and what the future of Xbox looks like. I'm going to read that to us. Now in his latest chat with Gamertag Radio, Phil touched on this once again. Sorry, I'm paraphrasing. Restating how Xbox will continue to ship more of its games on more platforms, while specifically referencing PlayStation, Nintendo, and Valve Steam service. This is his direct quote. Phil says this: "I want everybody to be able to play on Xbox, and it does mean more of our games shipping on more platforms, not just PlayStation. We love the work that we do with Nintendo. We love what we do with Valve on Steam, and that's going to continue. We'll just continue to do more of it." Apart from Xbox wanting to make its games more accessible to consumers, Phil also explains how, from a developer's perspective, creators want their games to be played by as many people as possible. This is quoting Phil again. "The thing that I've learned and continue to learn when I'm listening to creators and is that every creator out there wants to build a game that can find as many players as they want. We're not going to put walls up around where people can engage with great games that our studio is building." During the Developer Direct this week, Xbox's new strategy popped up once again, with the announcement of games like Ninja Gaiden 4 and Doom: The Dark Ages for not only Microsoft's platforms and services, but also PlayStation and Steam. Indiana Jones and the Great Circle is also on its way to PlayStation 5 this year. Although Xbox is pursuing this new strategy, it seems that its hardware division isn't going anywhere, with Phil referring to it as a critical part of the business, which is, if you're a real Xbox fan, and you love the hardware, I mean, the word box is in the name of the brand. It's kind of always revolved around this idea of a little black box that you can plug in and play your games. So if that, resonates with you, if that's always been an important piece of the puzzle for you, then have no fear yet. Special point on that yet, because Xbox does seem to still be interested in developing and continuing to release hardware. The thing is, this is Webby talking now. Xbox has been pretty much consistently losing the sales race for a while. Phil actually, Dextero posted on X a couple days ago talking about how Phil had made a statement or something of the like about how it expects the Nintendo Switch 2 to be very successful and have just be a breakout hit and do really, really well. I think that I mirror that. I think it's going to be a breakout hit and do really well. The thing is, yes, they will, and they have exclusives, and it drives people to Nintendo, and Nintendo's price is also usually cheaper than everybody else. PlayStation has also not shared any of the wealth with Xbox, though they are starting to put their first-party games on Steam. They just have timed exclusivity, so they don't release it to Steam too soon. And it kind of makes sense to have a PlayStation, and they're doing really, really well with them just releasing the new PlayStation 5 Pro and everything there. Everybody, basically, it seems, that makes a console, I think maybe even Steam Deck included. I'd have to check those numbers. I'll do that, actually. How crazy would it be if we get to the next round, the next generation, Xbox probably puts out its console, and they only sell like 5 million units. If at 5 or 6 million units sold, which I know sounds like a lot to most of us, but at 5 or 6 million units sold, then is that enough? Is that enough for Microsoft to justify continuing to work on the project? And who knows? Maybe they'll just license the software. Maybe they'll, at the end of the day, you got to remember that Xbox is a Microsoft company, and that is what Microsoft does. I mean, it has soft in the name, like it's a software company. And you can buy computers with Windows 11, for example, from a slew of different manufacturers, whether it is Asus or Dell or Lenovo or whoever. Now, Microsoft does have its own line, the Microsoft Surface, where obviously they generate that themselves, but it's really not out of the ordinary to see Microsoft products on other things. Maybe that's the future. They do kind of continue maybe a handheld or a smaller line or something like that for just for the people who resonate with the brand name and wants their products to say Xbox because it's simple and it just works. But who knows? Maybe they pull the plug there, or maybe we see Xbox's OS. Is that the right word for it? We see their OS on some other box, like a Q box or a C box. I don't know. But all right, I got these numbers pulled up. Currently, in 2022, the Steam Deck sold 1.62 million units. By 2023, Valve reported that they had sold multiple millions, is all that they said. And then Xbox, as of 2025, the Series X and S has sold 28.3 million units, combining the two together. So the Xbox is, for all the information that we can see, it is beating out the Steam Deck, which I would expect to see. I would be very embarrassed, but the Steam Deck at its price point, it's a real competitor for, especially when you put Windows on them, it's a real competitor for Xbox, so it's something to consider. What else are they going to do? Well, there was an interview that Phil also had where he was asked about if Starfield, is off the table to go to something like PlayStation. And he said no. Basically, nothing's off the table. So I think by the end of 2025, maybe early 2026, we could probably expect to see games like Halo, probably Halo first, coming to PlayStation 5 and other platforms. And we might even see games like Gears of War, because Gears of War E-Day, the newest installation, which is a prequel into the series, is about to come out. And it would make a lot of sense to do something like the Master Chief Collection, but around Marcus Phoenix. Do like a Marcus Phoenix collection, and in that include, Gears 1, 2, 3, and 4, Judgment as like a DLC if you want it, maybe, and then, maybe re-release Gears 4 and 5 as their own things, or maybe bundle that and call it not Marcus Phoenix, but, James Phoenix, or I don't know, call it something different. That would make a lot of sense, and it would be a big sale that they could resell to Xbox owners, or they could sell to non-Xbox owners like PlayStation people or Nintendo people. It also makes a lot of sense when you consider the fact that we have an announcement around the Switch 2, so it's not that crazy to think that these older Xbox games, like Gears 1, 2, 3, 4, well, 4 maybe, yeah, probably, those games probably will run pretty well on the Switch 2 hardware. Well, you could probably play some of them on the regular Switch okay. So it stands to reason that you could expect those games to run quite well on the Switch 2. And that is a market that really is not, like, especially for these games, it's really not tapped into in Japan. It would be huge for Halo and Gears and open up so many more opportunities for new players to experience those games if they did move it to something like the Switch or PlayStation. Now, I don't know what they'll do or how they'll do it. This is all, Webby just spitballing this, but it makes a lot of sense to me with the particular brand structure, the model of game release that they're currently working on. I mean, what would stop them? What would stop them from just releasing a lot of their older catalog, especially on the Switch 2? It would fill up some more of that Switch 2 line right off the bat, and be really good. And it basically, by 2030, we basically see Xbox as a third party. Like it'll be the next Sega. Yeah, they made consoles once upon a time, but when the new Sonic comes out, everybody plays it on everything else. I feel like that is kind of the trajectory that we're seeing from Xbox right now, and that makes me a little sad because I was an early adopter to the Xbox Series, and now it is the system that I never turn on. And that's unfortunate because I got it before my PlayStation. I got it, obviously I got it before my Switch too, and it's disappointed me, and it makes me wonder: is there any reason to ever buy an Xbox again? Probably not. Probably not. But hey, play those Switch games on the Switch. I mean, those Xbox games on the Switch too. That's pretty good, right? That'd be all good. Speaking of the Switch 2, let's go ahead and jump into that. We don't have a whole lot of news on any brand new updates on the Switch 2, but what we do have is something that was reported by TechCrawler. I'm going to pull them up real quick. TechCrawler.com had an article where they said a retailer based in Italy, the retailer is gamesandmovies.it, has recently initiated pre-orders for the Nintendo Switch 2, giving fans a sneak peek of what the upcoming console might cost. We'll have to take this with a grain of salt, guys. I'm going to show you the price, and then I want to talk about it. But this is what they say. The listing came up. Here it is right here on the screen if you're watching. Interestingly, this is the first instance where the Nintendo Switch 2 is available for pre-order. You can pre-order it on the site. They have it listed for $364.99. Is this euros? Yeah. Which roughly converts to $379.77 when the tag hits at the tag hints to a potential $350 price point in the U.S. So that's what they wrote. So they're estimating about $350 in the U.S., though a $400 price point is not out of the question. Here's what I think is happening. Hey, Pre, thanks everybody for being in the chat. Thank you, AFK to chat. Liz got here, Pre, for being here for the web show. I appreciate you guys. Here's what Webby thinks. Okay, here's what Webby thinks. Webby thinks that it's not uncommon, especially at in these like Italian like online stores, to offer something akin to a pre-order discount. Sometimes you get a pre-order bonus, like you pay regular price and you get this cool thing with it. Sometimes you got a little, especially this early on, if you're gonna go ahead and order months and months in advance, you got a little something to make it a little easier to afford that console. You know what I'm saying? That's what I think might be happening here. And we could probably expect to see a Switch price at or around that $400 point. I really do think that is a fair price. And it's also a highly competitive price. This is the thing, though. This is the thing. $400. I'm gonna get the Switch. I'm gonna test it out. I'm gonna mess with it. The Switch 2 is gonna be great, but $400 is right on that line where let me look up this right now to see how much a brand new Steam Deck is currently going for. Because let's be real, guys, the Switch 2 does kind of have a little bit of competition. So okay, yeah. So currently, you can get I want to make sure I'm not lying to you guys. Currently, you can get a Steam Deck LCD, 256 gigabyte LCD, $399 USD. 512 gigabytes, an OLED, because you remember the Switch 2 right now, it's probably, everything is suggesting it's going to be an LCD screen, not an OLED. I'd love to see it be an OLED, but we'll see. $549 for that mid-tier 512 gigabyte OLED, and a 1 terabyte OLED is $649. But let's focus in on that LCD, because this is kind of apples to apples. LCD Switch 2, LCD Steam Deck. Same price. Switch has got to bring it. At $400, they've got to really, really show us why on earth we should invest in them. Now, don't get me wrong. There are the obvious reasons. I think Nintendo is a known brand. There's gonna be a couple things that make the Switch really viable, even at $400 from most consumers. One, it's a very recognizable brand. Two, you can walk into Walmart, Target, Best Buy, GameStop, anywhere, just any brick and mortar that sells video games around you, and pick it up in the store. That can't be said about the Steam Deck for the most part. It is going to have great games because we know that Nintendo makes great games. I have some internal qualms around about the company in general, but I mean, even with the current generation Switch, which let's be real, is running like hardware, a chip on the inside from way back in like 2014, right? Or maybe even earlier. This is not a powerful system. And yet, games like Breath of the Wild and even Tears of the Kingdom, that's pushing the envelope even further, run very well. Do they run perfect and flawlessly? No, they do not. Do even games like the newest Zelda game, which was Echoes of Wisdom, does it drop frames, even though it's kind of chibi? Does it drop frames when you walk into a kind of populated town? Unfortunately, yes, it does. But they're still really good games, and they play very well. And that's actually going to be the very first thing one of the very first things that I test when I get my hands on a Switch 2. That is going to be, how do these games like Tears of the Kingdom and Echoes of Wisdom and Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, how do those play on the Switch 2? I'm expecting better. I'm expecting them to be really good. But even more, games like Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity. If you don't know, let me tell you something about Age of Calamity, Hyrule Warriors. If you play that game with 2 people or more, it drops into single digits. The chug and the frame drops, and just the inability for the system to keep up with everything that it's having to generate for AI enemies, as well as multiple renders because it's split screen. It can't. And I'm not picking on the Switch. It just doesn't have the hardware for something like that. It wins in a lot of ways. It plays great games. It is this thin. It does not get hot. It is super light, and it is super easy to. I mean, I have mine in a pretty hefty grip, but it's pretty easy to like pocket around. The Switch has great things. It really does. There are great things around this system, and I'm hoping that we keep all of that with the Switch 2, and we just see some power increase. Because I'm gonna be honest with you, I own a Steam Deck, an LCD Steam Deck. I'm interested potentially in a more powerful handheld, but I will be picking up the Switch 2. And if the Switch 2 can deliver well enough for games that I play a lot, like Fortnite, for example, if it can play, it will play indie games well, but if it can have good third-party support for other games, games like, I don't know, Indiana Jones, maybe, or like Gears of War, Halo, some of these Xbox titles we were talking about, and it plays those well, it will be my go-to. It'll probably be my go-to for what I pick up whenever I want a game on the go, because it will be light, it will be reliable, and it will probably have good battery life. But if it's anything more than $400, if we're touching $450, $500, then I think Nintendo needs to be careful, because anyone that's not the regular consumer, even right now, but anyone that's not a regular consumer, anyone that is a little more like me, a little more techie, a little more on that side, if you start pushing towards the $500 mark, that's when you have to remember that the Xbox Series X is $500, that the PlayStation 5 is just a little bit over $500, that the Steam Deck which can play everything that the current Switch can play and more, and will probably be able to play everything that the new Switch can play, would be less than that. The ROG Ally, the first one, I think it's $500 right now because the Ally X is out. That makes it a lot harder. That makes it a lot harder to recommend. It makes it a lot harder to recommend if you just are in the know at all, or if you do a little research before you order. It makes it a whole lot harder to recommend the Switch 2. So I hope we don't see that. I'm expecting and hoping for a $400 release, maybe a $450 bundle that includes the next Mario Kart. Yes, sir. I'd be down for that. But that's all that I can really anticipate and expect right now. But I will be getting one, and I want to share with you guys how I plan to get the new one also, because I currently have every current generation of the big competitors. If you omit like things like the ROG Ally, the Lenovo Legion Go, but you know what I mean when I say the big three. We're talking Xbox, we're talking PlayStation, we're talking Nintendo, and at this point, we're talking Valve or Steam. Because most of the PC market and now a good portion of the handheld market exists on Steam. So I'm going to include them. They're now it's the big four. I own all those. I got the Steam Deck pretty early on. I have a Series X. I have a PS5. I have a Nintendo Switch. Let me tell you something. I had a hard time getting the Series X when it launched. It took me a year and help from an aunt where we were always trying to get a pre-order or trying to get an order in whenever the PlayStation 5 would become available. It took me a calendar year to finally get my hands on a PS5. It wasn't that hard to get the Switch, but I did wait a little over a year to get the Switch, and I got the Redbox one. The Steam Deck, they did a great job on trying to prevent scalpers, but I think I was in wave like I know I was in the double digits. I was in wave like 10 or 15 on getting a Steam Deck. So it took me a while. Steam Deck wasn't too bad. It took me a while to get that PlayStation. Let me tell you what I learned from this, and this is what I recommend if you're able to do it. Obviously, this pre-order potentially went up on this Italian site, but as soon as pre-orders go live, probably in April when we see that Direct, because that Nintendo Direct that's promised in April is going to for sure give us two things. More information about the Switch, including probably a release date, and then a price. It's probably going to give us a MSRP. Once those two things are done, that's usually all that retailers need as like a stamp of approval to go ahead and list pre-orders. So if you can do like a Best Buy or a GameStop, somewhere like that offers pre-orders, and go ahead and get that locked in, I think that's the way to do it. A lot of times they don't even require the full amount down. I think that's the way to do it. That's what I plan on doing. That way I don't have to worry about like Amazon or buying online, and then what day is FedEx going to be here, and can I be here so that I can sign for it? Because if it's over $200, you usually have to sign. So what day can I make sure that I'm home all day, because who knows when FedEx will show up, to sign for it? Nope. I'll just get that pre-order, and then the morning that it comes out, I'll drive up to GameStop or wherever, and I'll just pick it up and bring it home. And so that's my plan. And out of all the systems that I have purchased, I do believe that is the probably easiest. Maybe not the most effective for the best deals always, but it will be the easiest, hopefully, to get your hands on one quickly and to avoid scalpers. So that's my recommendation. Last thing, let me thank everybody that's here. Pri, I know you're excited about that Switch, dude. Do you plan on getting one? I feel like it's something that you kind of need. I mean, you're a PC gamer now, but I feel like it's something that you kind of need for your aesthetic, and it needs to be pink. You're gonna need to pinkify that entire thing. And if you need help with that, I own a 3D printer. Hit me up. We'll make something happen. We'll make sure that you have the pinkest Switch in the West, or in the East, because I know you're not in the West. All that to say, I know you'll probably want Mario as well. While we're talking gaming and chatting in the community, the last thing I wanted to talk with you guys about today is this thing called the Gamer Club. The Gamer Club is kind of like a book club. It's something that I started in this year in 2025. We're this week are finishing up our first month. And the way that it's like a book club is that it's a group of us that are in the Discord. Links will be in the descriptions and everything, no matter where you're listening or watching. All you have to do is at me and say, hey, I want to be a part of the Gamer Club. Where every month we choose a game together. We're going to vote on it this week for February. And then we play that game in February. And then the last week of the month, we talk about the game. Similar to how you would read a book and come together, have a little party, a little shindig, and talk about the book. The first game we played, we've been playing it on stream, was Spiritfarer. It was definitely one of those games that I would not normally have played. And that's good, because that was kind of the heart behind why I wanted to do the Gamer Club. It's because there are lots of great games that aren't 3D platformer collectors, and that's my favorite genre. And there are a lot of shooters that I end up getting pulled into, and I don't even like shooters that much. And felt like I was missing out on all these games that didn't immediately look interesting to me, so I was just kind of missing out on them. And that was what this was for. Let's fix that, Let's get some skin in the game and get some games recommended to me and play them. And Spiritfarer, I'm glad that happened, because Spiritfarer was really enjoyable. It had some things about it that I didn't love. It had some things about it that I thought were very sweet and very charming. And it was really worthwhile, I think, to be a part of this group. So I'd like to extend an invitation to anyone who's listening to join the Gamer Club if you would like to be a part of it. All you have to do is jump into the Pumpkin Patch Discord, and you can ask us questions, and we'll tell you more about the Gamer Club if that's interesting to you, or just let us know that you'd like to be added to the channel. There's a private channel inside of the Discord, so once you get in there, you won't see it. You do have to ask, but all you have to do is say @WebbyPumpkin. I'd like to be a part of the Gamer Club, or I'd like to learn more about the Gamer Club, and I'll come in there and I'll tell you, and we'll chat about it, and it'll be a good time. Love it. Like I said, we're about to vote on the next game, which will be February's game this week, and we'll probably start playing that next week. It's going to be a really good time, and I'm really looking forward to it. And invite anybody to be a part. Thank you all for listening and supporting the Webb Show and supporting me as Webby Pumpkin. Everybody in the creating space always goes through highs and lows. And look, I'm going to tell you, I tried to almost get into a low today, and I was like, stop that, Webby Pumpkin. And I remember just how awesome it is that we get to talk about games and do cool things like this on the internet. So thank you so much for the support. I do want to tell you guys about something that I did that I've had some pressure to do. That I haven't, and it's just taken me a long time to set it up, but I did set up a Throne wish list. I got that mostly finished today. There's probably some things I could add to it, but it consists of a lot of things that I could use to make better content and maybe even be a little more consistent for you guys. Things that have been on my Amazon wish list for forever, but I recognize are kind of expensive. And one of the things that I love about Throne is that everything that was like $100 or more, I allow people to crowdfund. So if you want to help me get a microphone, but you only have $10, well, you can contribute that $10 to the microphone. And if the microphone is $50 and 5 of you only have $10, well, you got me the microphone, and everybody came together to make it happen. And I recognize that was an opportunity or something that wasn't available with any other means of wish lists that I had. So this is just so that you're aware of it. So that there are things like that. There are little happies. You can get me a $5 Amazon gift card. Buy me a coffee. Buy me a game. There's a thing on there for $60 just to buy any game. There are things on there to help me complete my collections. I'm gonna add some of that because I have almost 100% complete collection of all the Spyro home consoles or home console like releases, and Spyro is my favorite, and I'm missing one. So I put it on there because I just want to I don't care how we find it. If you own it and don't want it and want to reach out to me to ship it to me, it's Spyro 2 Gateway to Glimmer. I have Ripto's Rage, and it's the same game, but I, in my heart, want to own the variant of it. I want Gateway to Glimmer, and so that'd be really, really cool to have. And like I said, there's other small things on the little. I'm probably gonna add some little snacks and stuff like there. There's some music on there that I like, just little stuff like that. So if you're interested in supporting in that way, you could find the link to the Throne in the description or in the about of wherever you're listening or watching. And guys, I believe that's basically it. I want to let you know that I appreciate you all so much. Thank you, Pri and Angie, great supporters in the chat. After we get done with this episode, we're going to go ahead and raid out to someone here, so stick around if you're watching live. And let me just tell you, that I have fat fingers that bump buttons. That's what I meant to say. If you heard music there, it's because I'm not good at this. This is what I meant to do. Let me just tell you that I really appreciate you guys, and I'm so grateful for everything that you do and for listening to and watching the Webb Show and supporting the way you do. Thank you so much. We'll be live again on Twitch all this week and back with the Webb Show next Monday. Thank you guys so much. I'll catch you next time. Toodles.
Let's take flight. The Webb Show is on tonight. Come along, it's pure delight.